when the player runs up and takes it quick after the whistle, it's almost like the situation is controlling them versus them controlling the situation. When you have a plan, right? Separations in the preparation, when you have a place to go to execute, and then you could focus on that execution. You know, we always used to say in Chicago, the process is fearless.
Welcome to Limitless Minds, the podcast where curiosity meets greatness. If you're ready to discover what it takes to be truly limitless and push beyond your own limits, you're in the right place.
So winners find a way, Travis.
Find a way. I mean, if I were training out in this weather right now, it'd be epic. Be epic training videos. Just me out there doing push-ups in the grass. I'd be able to do like 5.
Yeah,
but,
and I could just grab your pickleball and run with it.
I could edit 5 into 50, no problem.
That's good. I like that. I like that editing 5 into 50. I don't know if I've ever told you the 1,000 push-up story. Maybe you read it in chapter. It's in chapter like 8.
Okay, I haven't gotten to 8 yet. What's the 1,000 push-up story?
I did 1,000 push-ups in less than 24 hours.
No, I did get that. Yes, yeah. Crazy. Like it is, and so. At what point? Because you're just basically you're just doing them throughout the day, right?
Yeah, just drop and do them. Drop and do them. Just like 15 minutes. Let me hit 25, 20. You know, whatever.
Yeah. What was the most you would do at once?
I started off hot. I did 50 for like the first hour. I would do 50 every 15 minutes.
This is gonna be no problem, right?
And then after the third 50, I quickly realized that maybe 30 was a better number to do for. And then after the 2 hours, it was like, how can I get through 15 of these things? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was like at like 300 or 400. Yeah. Right. And I still had like 600 to go.
But you did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
My son, I showed my son a video 2 years ago of this kid. And his goal was just to run 24 miles in 24 hours. And it was to basically do just a mile. I just have to do a mile an hour. Right.
Yeah.
And so I showed my son that again, we were up here in Michigan for the summer. He's like, oh, Dad, I totally want to do that. He's like, but I don't want to start at midnight. Like maybe what if I start at like 5? If I start at 5 a.m. and I'll run X amount of miles. Yeah. You know, sometimes like he ran like, sometimes he ran like 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles. And then sometimes he would just run a mile. And then he knew he had X amount of time to rest until the next one. But he ended up doing it. Yeah. He had an awesome time doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race, Travis.
Slow and steady, baby.
Unless your name's Mbappe. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Fast and loose.
Welcome back, everybody, to you guys just, you're kind of eavesdropping on Travis and I just talking BS right now. And we are going to talk a little World Cup today. This could be a shorter episode.
On fire.
Maybe go
other people can't mess with him because Josh is on fire. Yes. No one else can mess with him because Josh is on fire.
I'm doing the dance.
No one else can mess with him because Josh is on fire.
I heard the story of that, by the way. Do you know where that started? I heard the story.
Okay, what's the story? What do you got?
Do you know where it started?
No.
Wigan Athletic.
Wigan, no kidding.
It started as a video of a Wigan fan, and he was playing that song and singing it just like into his camera, into his microphone. Wigan then picked that up when they won something that year, and they started doing it. And then all of a sudden it went poof. Then the stadium started singing it at Wigan, and then it just went viral. Ba-ting! See you later.
Na 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 na.
Yeah, and that song had come out like 5 years before, and was kind of like a
Yeah,
it's like it was just out there song.
I can attest, right?
And then now all of a sudden it's everywhere.
It's the St. Louis University men's soccer team post. It's the locker room post-win song. Right? Player of the game gets the nut to put onto the screw. That's how we do things, right? We add every win. We add a screw to the bolt, right? Because by the end of the season, we want to have a bolt that's filled with packed with screws, nice. And so. The player of the game gets the screw. He screws it on in front of all the guys, and all the guys start doing da, 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 da. Oh, so great.
That's so good. Great. The listeners have already shut off this podcast.
No, they are pumped.
Are they pumped?
Inside scoop. What an inside scoop. They got the origin of the fire song. They got into the St. Louis University locker room.
That's good. Right. Because Josh, I know if you like St. Louis soccer, then you definitely love the World Cup. And that's our topic today.
Let's go.
I was trying to go there with Mbappe earlier, but we took a different transition, which is fine. We like random transitions, and that's kind of where we're at, Double T. So let me ask you this. We're gonna just kind of, what I think we'll do is we are already into the second round.
Oh, we are in it. Josh,
by the time
the Germans are home by the time people are listening to this podcast.
By the time this pod comes out, it'll be next week already. So the USA is playing tonight. Yes, thus the red, white, and blue. Although it is an Arsenal jersey, it is red, white, and blue.
This is a little. Let me show. I'm a little dark in here, right?
That's a USA men's national team.
States. Got it. There we go.
Yeah, beautiful. Love that. And so they're playing tonight. I'm excited about that. But what have been some things that maybe surprised you so far? And I have obviously a couple too, I'll add in, but what for you, Travis, what are some of the things that during this World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico have surprised you so far?
Yeah, the surprises for me, I mean, surprises, not surprises. But I think you have to look at the dominant teams, even if you're a dominant country, how difficult it is to win soccer matches. Right. And what I love about soccer, and the World Cup just brings it out. The World Cup just brings it out because in a lot of ways, once you get to the knockout round, it is a single elimination tournament. And Josh, you and I know not much of soccer is single elimination tournaments, right? No. All your pro leagues, right? They play their table. Even Champions League, until you get to the final, it's usually 2 legs. Right. So you might have a bad game. You can get them back in the second game. But, you get to the knockout round. And obviously there were so many great surprises in the group play. Just it's been the story, the tournament of the obscure goalkeeper, right, that stands on his head and gets a result against, these massive soccer countries. But it just, to me, I think part of the obviously it's the beautiful game because it's the beauty, it's the grace, it's the ticky, like it's such a beautiful, but part of, for me, it's the world's game. And what makes it so beautiful is that Cape Verde can stand on the same field with the giants of the world. And if you just make it really, really difficult to score, you can hang, right? Yeah. Paraguay, 3rd place finisher, US destroyed them, right? Paraguay, they just had to hang in there, get the pens, and at that point, it's anyone's match. And so
roll the dice there.
There's no other sport where there can be such a range in ability and talent from one team to another, and the lower team can prevail in the end. And I just think it just makes it such an amazing. When you go like, you had no right, we had no right to win the game, or they had no right to win the game, but guess what? That's why you play the game. So it's been awesome. What about for you?
I just think that the biggest surprise for me has been, I think we forget like how beautiful the World Cup is, because there's a couple things. First of all, the last time, as you know, it was in Qatar, but it was also during the winter.
Yeah.
So it was a little different, right? It was like, and so, and then the one before that, the US wasn't in.
Right.
So it's kind of like this forgotten thing about how beautiful the opportunity for countries and cultures to meet and to connect. And like, there's this, you and I have talked about it before, but this game more than any other game transcends sport.
Universal language.
It transcends sport. I was in a Uber recently. My driver was from Haiti. Had an easy conversation.
Yeah.
Let's just chat about the World Cup, and so, he was all excited because they were just there. He was like, it's incredible. We have a country that doesn't even have lights half the time. Yeah, we were made the World Cup, and he was just so happy about it. And, those connections, you saw it with, the Scottish and Boston, the obvious one, the Dutch with their Orange Army now, of course, going home as well after a defeat to a very, very, very good Morocco team, by the way. That's going to be an interesting one. I'm kind of curious to see where they go.
Yeah.
But also, too, like Mexico and the South Koreans, and then, there's just it's just been really wonderful to see this pride of all the countries, including ours, which is, pretty divisive right now, but it's nice to see us all coming together behind a common goal, which is hoping that the U.S. does well and moves forward and, all that good stuff. So, I think that's been the biggest surprise to me is, and it shouldn't have been, but I also think prior to the World Cup, we heard all this negativity. Mm-hmm. The stadiums are going to be empty. It's too expensive. It's going to be a nightmare getting into the stadiums. Blah, 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 blah. and nobody even talks about that stuff anymore, right?
Yeah.
What overwhelmed the negativity? What overwhelmed the negativity was this 4-letter word called love.
I love it.
And
I love it.
I think we forget the power of love sometimes, and this sport can show us that.
Yeah, Josh, I love that because I saw someone post, they're like, the big winner of the World Cup so far has been just been people, humanity,
human
right?
beings.
It's exposed, right? When you get the politics out of the way, you get these governmental leaders out of the way from doing their stuff. And when you get people with people talking to people watching a game, people just coming together in the spirit of community and cultures, and to see how foreigners have embraced America, and to see how Americans have embraced foreigners in the country, it just reinforces the idea that at the heart of each of us, we're all so very similar. And when you remove the politics and you remove the geopolitical issues, like we're just people. Like we want to have a healthy life. We want to have access, right? We want to have access to clean water. We want to have access to opportunity. We just want to, and we all relate on that level, and throw a soccer ball in the middle that we can all rally around, and just have fun, right?
Yeah.
Like just be human and have fun. And so, FIFA is no less corrupt today than they were 2 weeks ago.
No,
the world is no less scary, or than it was 2 weeks ago. But man, when you shine, it's a good example too of what you magnify grows, right? Yeah. Energy flows for attention, because when we actually put the spotlight on people and humanity, we actually see that there's a lot of good, and like you said, love there to magnify.
You know what else it is too? It's like, okay, so we're creating the recipe, and the recipe is removing all this negativity, removing all this like BS from politics, removing all these different, and then adding in a sprinkle of gratitude. And I think that has been really powerful as well. Just the genuine gratitude that people have had for our country, the things that we take for granted now shining bright.
Yeah.
Buc-ee's, right? That's like, okay, it's amazing. I was laughing. I went to Costco yesterday, and I was in Costco, and I was just like, imagine being from Europe and rolling into a Costco and just being like, what the heck? Or from Cabo Verde, and going into a Costco, or from wherever. And it's just like, I was just kind of laughing to myself a little bit about it, and just enjoying being in there. And I've always been one who goes into Costco and was like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. The lights, I get this. But yesterday I was just kind of like really at peace with it. And I was excited about it. Just so you know, our producer just put in to the chat that TSA has confiscated
all that ranch dressing,
gallons of ranch dressing.
Which just goes to tell me TSA loves ranch. That's it, man.
TSA loves ranch. The TSA loves. Or we need to start a business where we make homemade ranch dressing in France or wherever. Yeah. Right.
We'll just add a little. We'll just add a little at the end of it.
It's so easy to make. It's so easy to make.
Yeah.
Just do that. Do that. Yeah. Who has been, which team, players, etc. for you have stood out in any way? I'm going to throw that in any way. It could be how they're talented, or how they go about their business, or whatever. Which teams for you, players, etc. What stood out for you in terms of that?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, I just love, was it 9 of the 10 African nation countries qualified for the knockout round? 8 or 9 or 9 of 10. I'm trying to remember the stat.
Yeah.
Actually got one kicking off right now, Josh, big one. But
Angleterre.
Yeah. And so I think for years, people have been like why can't, any of the African nations make a legitimately long run? And I think this is the tournament, especially when you expanded the field. We talk about access in this world, right? The African nations were always limited to the number of spots they had available for the World Cup. So what do? We expand the field. You give countries more opportunity, and we see the biggest surprises of this tournament have been what some of these African nations have been able to do is against some of the European or South American big boys. And just to see, we know what it does for those countries, but just to see, this is going to be a pivotal moment for so many of these countries in the next generation, seeing what's possible at the world stage. And I think you're just going to see, obviously, like the success that Morocco has had in the last World Cup and what they're having right now. But I just think you're going to see just an explosion of from these African countries, just even more so what we've already seen.
Yeah.
Expectation, Josh, you and I know, right? In the mental space, expectation can really, really make it, can stunt our performance sometimes when we've got so much internal, external expectation we put on ourselves, which can be unnecessary pressure. And you look at the stars of the World Cup who came in with tremendous expectation are delivering.
They're showing out.
Mbappe, good Lord. Holland gets the game winner at the end of the game. And then you've got the guy, like for us Americans, people are like, well, of course Messi's dominating in the MLS because it's the MLS and the MLS isn't any good. Well, let's see how he does in a World Cup. Oh, right.
He's dominating there too at 38 years old. Okay.
Dominating the world.
Amazing.
So maybe the MLS could get a little bit more love. And so I just love to see, I love the stars being the stars. And then for me on the opposite end of the spectrum is the opportunities, even though Haiti doesn't get out, Haiti finally getting to the big stage.
Yeah.
And then you see a Cape Verde, you see a Congo, right? You see these countries. It's like, give me the opportunity. Let me show you what we can do. And the stars are showing up, and the new countries, the younger countries are basically saying, hey, we deserve it. We deserve a seat at the table too. And when you have Germany and the Netherlands go home on the same day. And again, to put this into perspective for the casual soccer fan, the round of 32, it didn't exist before.
Nope.
So it is now easier to get out of your group, but there's an extra knockout round that you need to play in, which is the round of 32. So the fact that Germany and Netherlands lost in the round of 32, it's the equivalent of them not getting out of their group in any previous World Cup.
Yeah.
And so it just says so much about the parity of this tournament, and just how great it is to see, the Davids versus Goliaths. And we've already had a couple happen.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, that stuff has been really interesting. Just seeing the keeper for Paraguay, by the way, I think he's probably like 6'8". The dude is I don't know where he plays right now, but I'm sure he's going to be in some big European club very, very soon.
Yeah.
That has been awesome. Seeing these giants. Although I got to say the Morocco Dutch Holland game, the Netherlands game, sorry, it felt like Morocco was not an underdog. And to be fair, they're the seventh ranked country in the world in soccer, and they made the semifinals the last time. So they're solid. They're really good.
So solid,
and heck of a player.
And deserved to win the game.
Yeah,
right?
They did.
It was the opposite.
It
right?
was a deserved win. Yep.
Had Netherlands won, you would have looked at the scoreline and said, "Well, of course, the Netherlands should have won." But had you watched the game, you would have been like, "Oh man, if
I can't believe the Netherlands stole that."
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But they do see. I'm sad that the Netherlands are going home because best uniforms.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I have to get that warm up top, the orange hoodie warm up top. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
And then also the crowd, I was looking forward to them coming back to Houston again.
Oh my gosh.
Having this crowd, with the bus and everything. But that being said, for me, one of the most impressive teams, and I think I always talk about, like I started this and I said love and gratitude, and I'm just appreciative of when people and countries and players and coaches, they just do things with class. And for me, that was Japan.
Japan, baby.
And so Japan, their fans cleaning up the stands afterwards, their coach apologizing to every single player. And you could see how much respect the Brazilians had for them. And it was really interesting listening to Ancelotti. I don't know if you saw it, but Carlo Ancelotti, the manager of Brazil, when Gabriel Martinelli, Arsenal great, scored the goal in injury time, and I screamed, by the way, Arsenal. I didn't scream Brazil, I screamed Arsenal when he scored, which is hilarious to me. They're just like my kids, I'm like excited about there. He didn't, Ancelotti was cool as a cucumber. He didn't cheer. He didn't run up and down the sidelines. He didn't jump into the crowd with his family or anything. He just was like, shook his head and walked the other way. And they asked him about it afterwards, and he said, I have so much respect for Japan. They played so hard. They played so well. And to lose that game, I've been on the other side of it. It's heartbreaking. And so I wanted to show them respect. Unreal. And then you saw Cunha from Brazil consoling the Japanese players. And you talked about it on the last COD podcast about the U.S. players consoling the Iranian players.
Yeah.
They would beat them 1-0. And I just think that stuff matters so much. And we talked earlier too about, hey, what do I want my kids to see?
Absolutely.
And that's it. I want to see that class, that humanity, that connection, that empathy, that love. And you saw it there with Japan. Because of how they held themselves, they can walk away, even though they lost, with a ton of pride. And Brazil has the utmost respect for them. And you saw the class of Brazilian players as well, too, where they weren't showboating. They weren't, they were respectful as well. And so I love that. I thought that game, more than any for me, really showed through. And it's the stuff that I think that makes the World Cup so special. When you can have that,
it's all the stuff. It's obviously on the field, but it's the stuff surrounding it. Like you said, Japan and cleaning the stadiums. This is the third straight World Cup where they have gone out in heartbreaking fashion, like brutal, tear your heart out, pull the rug out, and yet it doesn't change their class, right? No. They still stay behind and clean the stadium. They still leave the locker room immaculately cleaned when they check out. They leave a thank you note in the locker room. They weren't the only country, by the way, to leave thank you notes when they were leaving locker rooms and stadiums. Multiple countries did that. And, it's like, as Americans, I don't think we ever fully grasp really what this means to other countries, right? Yeah. Josh, I don't know if you've seen reports. Uruguay, who didn't make it out of the group round. They had a terrible World Cup.
This is amazing. For those of you who haven't heard this is
for those of you who don't know, right? So Uruguay, who South American superpower,
two-time World Cup champion, have 4 stars on their shirt. Do you know why they have 4 stars on their shirt?
4 stars for a 2-time.
They have 4 stars on their shirt.
What's the other 2 for?
They won the 2 World Cups, but they also won, prior to the World Cup, the Olympics were the World Cup.
Oh, okay.
So they won 2 Olympics as well prior to 1930.
Yeah.
So they have 2 for the Olympics as well.
Well, Josh, you and I know, how are those players getting home to Uruguay after the World Cup? Yeah.
Well, let's see. How do most countries travel when they go to a World Cup? They travel in a private charter plane.
You are fine first class. You're as nice travel because really you're the national team. Win or lose,
our country is going to take care of you.
Yeah. So no, I'm not sure who it was, whether it was the prime minister, the president, or whoever it was, the governing body in Uruguay, basically told the players, you need to get home by yourselves. We're not paying for your trip. Find your own way home.
They did not pay for their return tickets home. That's what happens when you lose in Uruguay. That's right. It was interesting too, because Pochettino, our manager for the U.S., talked about how our culture sometimes rewards losing, which I thought was an amazing take.
Yeah.
He was talking about relegation in Europe and basically every other league in the world.
Yes.
There's the major leagues and then there's the minor leagues. If you're thinking baseball,
that's a tiered system.
Tiered. So the English Premier League, and below the English Premier League is another league called the Championship. Below that is League One. And if you finish in the bottom 3, of the league, you get punted down to the league below you, and you make less money. You play in worse conditions. It's harder in a lot of ways. And we don't have that in the United States.
Well, actually, Josh, let me ask you: if you're a billionaire in the United States who owns an NFL franchise and you finish last, what do you get in the offseason?
You get the number 1 draft pick. You get the best player ever.
You don't have rewarded?
to go. What's really interesting is you don't have to play in the USFL the next year.
You don't? You actually get rewarded
for Birmingham Stallions, if they win I think it's called the UFL now. If they win that, they don't get bumped up into the NFL.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very American or capitalist, doesn't Josh? It kind of sounds like the opposite of capitalism when we reward the bottom. Interesting. Why would billionaires not want to have relegation, Josh?
Because it costs them a ton and a ton and a ton of
no
money.
No risk.
I don't know. We'll see, though. I'm telling you. The good news is the MLS is going to the world schedule. They're not going to be on this random schedule where they play during the summer anymore. They're gonna switch it up, and they're gonna do what basically the rest of the world does, which is late August through late May, early June. So they're going to do that as a schedule, which is awesome. Matches up. I think that'll help us a lot of ways. And I'm telling you, there's 30 teams right now in the MLS. 30.
Yeah.
To put that in perspective, in the English Premier League, the best league, heralded the best league in the world, there's 20 teams.
Yeah.
So I can see that potentially changing, and maybe they're trying to get to 40 teams, and then they'll have, MLS 1 and MLS 2 or something like that.
It'd be great if they did. Well, Josh, hey, in the spirit of Success Leaves Clues, I know this isn't technically a Success Leaves Clues podcast, but here we are. We're getting into the meat of this tournament so far. We've already seen 2 penalty shootouts.
Yes,
right? The day after penalty shootouts, I got contacted by a reporter just via text. He's like, "Hey, do you got any data and research for me on the psychological side of penalty shootouts?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. Like, I've got, not necessarily stats, but I definitely have, like when I was with the national team, we brought in kind of what was considered the expert, the guy over in Europe who he wrote a book."
Was he from Norway? Because I think I may have met him, or Finland or something like that.
I'm trying. I can't remember if he's a Scandinavian country or not, but he just spent like the last 5 years researching every European or World Cup championship shootout.
What did he find out, Travis? I'm curious about this.
The science is amazing, and questions such as, do you want your shooters to be younger or older, right? And believe it or not, statistically, younger shooters tend to perform better in shootouts. And now you and I can talk about why that might be the case, right? There's a lot of naivety in youth. There's a lot of confidence in youth. Why, Josh? Why would you be naive and confident when you're young?
Because you haven't been punched in the face over and over and over again,
right? Where like, oh, this is just a big game compared to once we're a little bit longer on the tooth, when we start to look at maybe the bigger picture. And again, we talk about expectations. Some of the other stuff when we're older, some of the ramifications and what this really means, because we've had a career to understand things maybe more fully, that can actually be a hindrance to you as a penalty shooter. So younger shooters tend to have a higher success rate in penalty shootouts. And then things, Josh, such as from the mental side of things, and for the listeners who are watching this, here's something really interesting to pay attention to. When the referee blows the whistle for the shooter can wait as long as they want before they actually take the kick.
Interesting.
They can stand there for 5 minutes if they want before they strike the ball. And the research will show you the longer you wait after the whistle, the higher your success rate.
It totally makes sense.
Yep. Because, Josh, as you and I know, because shooters are being trained, right? The whistle blows. This is on your time, not their time. The goalkeeper is now waiting for you. This is on your time. The longer you make the goalkeeper wait, now they'll do their jumping around and everything. The longer you make them wait, now they start to get in their head more. And what do you have the ability to do? You can take your time, watch the shooters take these enormous deep breaths right after the whistle. You'll see them standing there. You'll just see, I was watching it the other day, and it's just the big deep breath. And
almost an in blue out red. In blue out red.
Almost like in blue, or if not the exact same thing. And then they're going through their mental routine. Yeah. And then you see the shooters who you can read the face, you can read the discomfort. The players that maybe rush it after the whistle. Why, Josh? Because they just want it to be over with.
They want it to be over with.
Want it to be over with, compared to owning the process, sticking with the process, trusting the process. And then you start to see, from, again, the mental side of things, shooters who go up and already know where they're going, compared to shooters who are going to go up and decide once they get there. Yeah. And, we talk about, you want to take the thinking out of the equation. And so most shooters know, if you execute the perfect penalty kick, whether the keeper guesses right or not, doesn't matter.
They're going to make it. Yeah.
Right. Compared to, and so if you trust yourself and you trust the process, and one of my favorite stories, Josh, was during the 2021 Nations League final against Mexico, when Christian Pulisic took his famous penalty shot, upper 90 against Mexico to put us up 3-2. The play was at VAR. So for like 5 minutes, Christian knows he's getting a PK, and he's walking around. He's thinking, where am I going to shoot? Where should I shoot? Where should I shoot? Where should I shoot? So he walks up to Tyler Adams and says, Tyler, where should I put it? And Tyler says, upper 90, upper bins. And Christian was like, sweet. The decision was made for him.
Yeah.
He take out the thinking. Instead of thinking, where am I going to do it? Oh, that's where I'm going to put it. Now I'm focused on. Let me ask
the captain. The captain tells me there. Good, done.
Yeah. Now I'm focused on execution. Nothing else matters. There's no thinking involved. Just execute.
I mean, that's such great advice too, just for life. You know, like how often do we overthink the stuff, and then it bunches us up, and then we don't move forward, and choose and execute. And then if the keeper's ridiculous and can somehow touch the upper quadrant of the top 90 or the side netting, tip your cap. But did I hit it well? And then you can look at yourself. The other thing that jumped out at me there too is the locus of control. Mm-hmm. So when the player runs up and takes it quick after the whistle, it's almost like the situation is controlling them versus them controlling the situation. And I think when you have a plan, right, separations in the preparation, when you have a plan, when you have a place to go to execute, and then you could focus on that execution. We always used to say in Chicago, the process is fearless.
Yep.
The process is fearless. So let me just execute my process. And it doesn't matter that this is PKs. And the other thing too is if the players, if they really step back and they think about the stats, I think the save rate is only like 15 to 20% total.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have a 4 out of 5 chance of being successful. And then if you add on this other stuff, now you're buying more lottery tickets, Travis Thomas.
Yes, you are. Yes,
you're buying more lottery tickets. You control what you can control, and then you execute. Man, that's great stuff. Hopefully our national team's listening to this if we go to PKs.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure we're in the locker room right now.
Actually, the part of the story that Travis didn't tell you with that foolishness kick was like right as they were about to run out, Travis grabbed Christian and said, "Hey, by the way, here's how you make this kick. I know you don't know how to do this, and I know that you're really bad at it in practice. All right, but don't think negative. Stop telling yourself you're awful."
It was actually just the opposite. It was the opposite, Josh.
And then Travis said, "Try not to suck, buddy." And
he makes the kick and runs to the corner flag. He's mobbed by his players. If you see an old guy with gray hair in a red, there I am jumping out, and I wasn't supposed to be there. So I got my wrist slapped a little bit for that one, but it was fully worth it.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah,
totally worth it. Especially because you were telling him where to go, and like as the keeper that was all you. You just don't get the credit for it, brother.
Yeah. Hey, a couple other things to look out for too, Josh, which is pretty fun to look out for. For penalty shootouts, which I'm guaranteed we're going to go to one today, right? So when you're in penalty shootouts,
sooner. I mean, if not today, next couple of days, there's going to be another couple of them.
So here's the rule. You'll usually see both teams standing at the half line, right? The shooters are out there, they're standing at the half line. Well, you know what the rule is? Teams have to stay behind the bubble, not the half line, behind the edge of the center
of the bubble. Yeah.
So what are you going to see? And I saw it actually in the Netherlands match the other night. Morocco was on the half line. The Netherlands was on line with the bubble. So their goal is get closer to your shooter, right? And so you want to get closer to the situation for the shooter as the shooter is walking to the penalty spot. That is a long, lonely walk, right, Josh? Long, lonely walk. So when they get there, your goalkeeper should be meeting you at the penalty spot, holding the ball.
Yes.
They meet you there. They hand you the ball. Share a little little encouragement. So you've got psychologically, you got someone there with you. You're not alone. And then, right, whether you make it or miss it, especially, if you make it, to really lean into, showing the energy, showing that burst, which is going to give your team a boost and your keeper a boost, and, a little bit of a shot to the opposition.
Emphasize the good. Catch them winning.
And if you miss it, this is super important. If you miss it, at least one of your players, if not two of your players from center or from the bubble, to come down and meet you and grab you and bring you back.
Yeah.
So that you're not making that walk alone.
Yeah.
And so these are just some of the different that came from that penalty expert. Just some of the different.
I remember meeting that penalty expert. I forget his name, and I think it's like with a J O R T. I don't know.
Anna, can you get into Google right now, Anna, and give us who is the penalty expert? Our producer.
I believe he's also from Norway as well. I'm not sure. I'm telling you because I met him before.
We're going to find out
Such
where
a nice
he's
guy.
There's so much trivia on the line here. right?
There's
so much trivia on the line. Yeah.
I want to say it's like gear jort or something to that nature. I don't know. But one of the other things was physical touch.
Yes.
Too. Physical touch. Like, yeah. Gear Jordet. That's him. Was that your guy?
I can't remember. But it's your guy. You totally nailed it.
Yeah. Because he's such a nice guy. I remember talking to him multiple times.
So physical touch, right? What are the guys? The guys usually have their arms interlocked on their shoulders,
but also to the taker before he goes and when he comes back and the whole thing. It's just like really, really important. It helps them move past negativity faster. Apparently,
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I think there are, like, we're just talking about penalty kicks, but talk about team camaraderie and culture and in the business world. This is why the World Cup's awesome, because you can extrapolate all these lessons to your own companies and to your own leadership teams and things of that nature. And so I think, what we've heard kind of today, success leaves clues, is with the PKs, have a process, execute the process, come up with a plan before, let your attitude dictate the situation versus the situation dictating your attitude. Number one. Number two is, do things the right way, right? Have that culture of class. Have that culture of it's more about how you go about the business than if you focus on how, the what's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
Right. Like Japan is a winner. They are. They're winners. And I'm sure their whole country loves that team and has so much respect for it. Right. Even though they took an L on the scoreboard, So those are the big things for me. And then number three, love, baby. Open your heart up. Open your heart up. Accept, appreciate, have gratitude, learn, be open-minded, and grow. And I think if we take those things out of this World Cup, man, it's been a bigger success than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's one of those things where so many seeds have been planted. I think culturally, so many seeds have been planted. In cities and different areas, exposure to different cultures, both from people coming to our country and people in our country. And I think just the impact of that, just can't be measured in the short term, which is again, as someone myself, like I grew up playing soccer. It was my favorite sport. And, to feel like you grew up playing a sport that no one cared about and no one knew about. And to now, again, I'm old, but I'm not that old. And to be in a country where there is such not only a soccer literacy, but just an appreciation and a love for a game that's not America's game, it's the world's game. And to see, like you talked about, what a connection point that is, especially with different cultures. I remember, Josh, and my wife and I, when we got married, we went to Jamaica for our honeymoon, and we were staying at a hotel. And I remember looking out the window, and in the employee area of the hotel, there was a small-sided soccer field.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I wonder if I can go out there and play. So sure enough, I went out there, and I was the only guest, right? I was the only white person. I was the only guest. And they kind of looked at me like, you're not supposed to be here. But then they're like, you want to play? I'm like, of course I want to play. And it was like, I'm out there playing with the staff, and it's there is no separation. There's no status when you're playing. It's just the game. And it really is. Yeah.
I'm going to add to that story in for two things, because on my honeymoon, I went to Brazil with my wife, and we went to this place called Ilha Grande, which is an island out off of Rio that has no roads, no vehicles on it at all. But I tell you what they did they had
guarantee
2 bamboo poles and a third bamboo pole tied to those 2 bamboo poles, and it made a goal on the beach. Yeah. And they were out there playing all the time. Yeah. And then the second one is, a couple of years ago, I went to Stresa, Italy, which is on Lake Maggiore. And there's a hotel there. And in the back of the hotel, there's a very similar thing where there's a little soccer pitch. Uh-huh. And my son and his buddy, Leo, who plays soccer here in the United States, they would sneak onto it, and they would play all these kids from Africa who were, the kids of the workers that were in the hotels. And they would play for 2 hours on this thing. And they had so much fun. And that's what it's about, man. That's what this game is about. It brings people together. It's obviously, it means a ton to every country person playing it. But it also is this game that brings the world together, and I love it.
So great. And we've still got about 3 weeks left, man. 2-3 weeks.
Do we? It's how much we still got? Unbelievable. This is so awesome.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing as soon as I get off this.
I know we got to wrap this thing up, but we got a big game right now.
So they're, they've already had their water break, and they're they're hanging out. They're finishing up the first half. So
yeah.
But awesome, Travis. Thanks for coming on and teaching the listeners about how to take penalties and also how to execute in the business world as well. That's great.
Josh, way to hit Dr. Gear Jordet. Anna, way to be on it. Way to be on it.
He is. I think he's Norwegian. He's a pretty spectacular dude.
Gunners, baby. Gunners.
Go on. It's red, white, and blue. That's why I'm wearing it. Red, white, and blue, baby.
I love it. Love it. Here we go. USA, big one tonight, baby. Here we go.
Huge. Well, hopefully they do what the rest of CONCACAF has done and get out of the first round.
Show out. Here we go.
Show out. All right, buddy. Great to talk to you. We'll be back with more probably next week or the week after about the World Cup. Any other insights we have? Maybe we'll get former women's national team Joanna Lohman on this.
Yes, we'll get kind of into that quarterfinal range. We'll get some quarterfinal predictions.
Yeah, I love that. My prediction right now, by the way, is France. They're just ridiculous.
You mean their third team? France's third team winning the whole thing because they're that talented?
Yeah. Possibly.
Oh, hey, Josh, quick stat for you. I don't know if you've heard this trivia. Do you know how many players playing in this World Cup that were born in France?
98.
98. You nailed it. Bananas stat right there. Bananas stat. 98 players.
I'm locked in.
Awesome. Hey, Josh, you don't need to be sick to get better, brother.
You don't have to be sick to get better.
Boom. Have a great day, everybody.